Welcome back, everybody. So today we're going to take the next step in the conversion of this room from projection to direct view. And this is going to be some manual labor. So I had to call in the big guns and
let's go.
Yeah.
Well, let's go.
This is Zach and Chase from Dreamedia, and they have all the expertise and know-how that I don't really have, right? So we're going to take this TCL QM7 and mount it on this wall. So you've seen the process of me converting the wall and putting up all the cool looking materials and all that kind of stuff. But now that we actually need to drill holes and make sure that something heavy doesn't fall, these are the pros. So Zach, first off, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
And then for everybody out there watching, make sure you stick around after this break and we're going to get right into that. But you guys ready?
Let's go.
All right, let's do this thing. All right.
I'm ready.
Before we get started, if you're into tech, hi-fi, or movies, be sure to push the subscribe button for new weekly videos.
Okay, folks, so now it's time to really dig in, but I don't really know what to do. I've got some HDMI pull through the walls, I've got power, and I've got a Sanus mount, but what comes next? I don't know. What do we do? I mean, is it just measuring and then drilling, or what's the plan?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. So when mounting TVs, the most important thing is that you select the correct mount that will support the weight of your TV and the Versa pattern on the back of the television. Luckily, you have a great Sanus mount here today that we're going to be utilizing. This is a 65 to 140 inch.
This is their big boy. And one thing that I want to point out is I talked to the Sanus folks at Cedia, and I said, look, I want a mount that no matter what television I buy in the next 5, 6, 7 years will work. And this is the one they said. So if you're looking at bigger stuff, 100-inch up, this is the one to go with. And it's a tilting. It's not a fully articulating mount. It will tilt top down. But this was the only model they had at the time that they felt was kind of safe for the future, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's just important that you get, a good quality mount to start with. And we're going to bolt in the arms to the back of the television and then ensure that we bolt the back bracket into studs. So we're going to start by laying out our moving blanket and preparing for the install. All right, guys, now that we've gotten the TV pulled out, you can kind of see the bolt pattern on the back of the television that we were talking about. And this model, it's fairly low. So as Chase already pointed out, we're going to want to mount it as high as possible to give us good center of gravity whenever we mount the back bracket to the wall.
All right, guys, so what you'll see from any good TV stand manufacturers, we have a cardboard template here that's just going to help us mark up the wall and get a mock of how the TV mount will go, as well as where our bolts can fall. Pretty simple mount construction here. We've got our back plate that will mount directly to the wall. And then we've got a bunch of goodies and different lag bolts to drill into the wall, extension brackets for the arms, this looks like. So we got 2 of those. And then the actual arms that end up on the TV itself, which are these. And then we've just got various nuts, bolts, washers, and spacers. And this is just exactly what Jiles was talking about. This is going to ensure that no matter what TV I have, no matter what size, that I've got proper spacers, washers, and bolts for mounting. So these 2 matching pieces are, again, the TV side facing, and this looks pretty complicated. It's got a knob here. That's something we'll leave tightened until the end. But that's just going to give us our tilt. Now, as you can see, there's this little pull piece of plastic here. That is what's going to release our TV if it's time to change TVs or time to move it to another room or anything. So when we click, Sanus has these little teeth down here. It'll snap in, and then when it's time to move it, we'll be able to pull that down, release the TV's anchoring to the wall and move it. So it essentially will be locked in place. All right, guys, so here is the base configured mount, which will probably, just a guess here, cutoff point's probably around 80 inches on the television. This definitely would at least reach to 65, no issue. But then I've got my extension bars here. So that just falls perfectly in line with the top bracket there, since you have actual bolt holes. So I just went ahead and slid those on. And now the bottom part seems to be adjustable. Yeah, so you can bring that all the way out. I'm gonna see if we can get away with this inside, because we've got 2 points of contact there as opposed to 1. So, but essentially now, once I bolt that down with some of our hardware, as you can see, we can easily reach the bolts on the top and bottom of the television there. All right, guys, so let's say you're using a fully articulating mount, which we're not using today. This is a tilt mount. You can go ahead and bolt your brackets as close to the back of the television as possible, essentially touching the television. What we're gonna do today is use these about 1-inch spacers, because this is just a tilting mount, and we will be reaching behind it to do our fine adjusting, as well as wiring up our HDMI cable or any other wiring that the TV needs, such as the IEC cable. So all this is going to do is give us just a little bit of standoff and add 1 inch of working room at the end of the project behind the television. All right, guys, so this is our black back plate here, and you can see that I've got nuts around the frame. And what that essentially would do is, here's my template, right? We'd be able to extend this mount out longer. Now, why would I do this? For most installs, you're gonna leave this as it is, use the center line here to mark your center and call it. But maybe you have an older home, like pre-90s, maybe you've got weird stud placement. That'll allow you to accommodate. The frame is going to be the most sturdy as it is, where they're doubled up and not slid out. So we're gonna go ahead and leave it that way. But that's what these bolts are for. They're just for flexibility in the field. You know, as you can see, this is pretty wide open. So I find it hard to imagine that you'd almost ever have to do that because of how much play is in the mounting points on this Sanus mount. But a weird occasion could come. So I'm gonna essentially just walk you through what it would look like if this was on the wall. So now we've got our 2 mounts there. Make sure when you install these that your tilt swivels are facing out, not in. Very hard to fix after the fact, but we're gonna go ahead and pretend this is stationary on the wall. The TV is moving. You're gonna come up, slide that into the grooves at the top, and then there's our locking in mechanism. Obviously this won't slide, it'll be bolted to the wall. That'll allow us some flexibility left to right with the television if we need. So this is essentially how I'm gonna measure where the mount needs to be held as well. And then here's an example of this pull string coming in. You know, you can reach up behind it and get it. And most of the time you're just gonna leave this hanging down behind the television. That way you don't have to reach all the way up. But I go ahead and pull that, and it's gonna release just this side, obviously. I'd have to pull them both to get this mount back out. And then there you go. So that's how you pull, 2-person job to release the television, person on either side, grabbing their own pull string, and then it'll free the television. You guys gotta be ready for it. The good thing is the TV won't just fall off the wall because we've got this deep, almost inch groove up here at the top. So if you are alone and you do release it and pull it forward, that would be okay. It's just, as soon as you let the TV go, it's gonna click right back into place. So we've got this mocked up. And what I'm gonna do now is grab a measurement from the top of the hook, which will be the top of this plate during install, to the top of the television so we can calculate where it'll land on the wall. So we established that we have 25 inches from where the top of the bracket will sit to the top of our television. At least on our initial measurement, Jiles wants 8 inches space from the ceiling. So what we're gonna do now is 33 inches is our 25 plus our 8. So I'm gonna take that down from the top of the ceiling and just mark that with masking tape. And what we're gonna do now is mimic watching the screen before we hang it. Because the last thing we want is for Jiles to sit down later, have his 8-inch spacing up here, and then have his toes blocking the bottom of his television, because it's a pretty big television. So, and then we will also find the center of this wall before we go ahead and hang. So it may look low, but this is a huge TV. So that's gonna be the top of our mounting bracket right there. So we're gonna mark the top and the bottom of the TV, then probably move the TV out of the way a little bit and sit in the primary watching position and make sure this is gonna work out nicely.
All right, so
So the goal
so the
here-
bottom of the TV is going to be there.
Are you all the way back though?
This is as far back as I go. I can go back more.
You just want to make sure,
but
even you wiggle those toes and everything. You're
So right in front of you is about there.
Yeah. I would say I think we probably need to go up another 2 inches.
Okay. And we went ahead and marked our studs. So let's say you bought a house, you've got a wall like this. Maybe you've got a really expensive deep scan stud finder that's able to find stuff back here. What's going to be easiest, and Jiles has a sweet brush plate here, but what I would do is go ahead and pull these face plates off, because usually electric is going to be mounted to a stud always. And if this was done in new construction, not retrofit, the low volt installers would have mounted this to a stud as well. So I can kind of reach into the wall here and I can feel we've got a stud here. And same thing, you can just pull this off and peek. If it is a low volt box, you may not have a way out, but typically you can see to one of the sides. I mean, typically the drywall won't be trim, or what you can do is right where the corner of your J box meets the drywall, you can go ahead and make a little room for yourself to see that'll still be covered by the faceplate. So we know we've got a stud here, and we know we've got a stud here. So that's going to land our lag bolts right here and right here on our template. And what's great about this is this lines up exactly. And then if for some reason you needed the extension or you needed the fine-tune adjustment on that because your studs didn't line up, I mean, Sanus is giving you so much room. I doubt you're going to find a stud pattern that this doesn't fall in, but you could go ahead and fold. We'll do this side because it's going to be easier to get to. Depending on the configuration you're running the mount, you can go ahead and pull that out. So now that I've got that marked, we're going to go ahead. This is a smaller hole than we're going to utilize. Just trying to confirm that I'm hitting stud. And then we should be able to pull some sawdust out. Okay, so we definitely hit stud. So what I did is, obviously, this trim plate is going to make drywall dust. So I just let it sit there and spin, dragged the sawdust out, and then reached the bit all the way in and made sure I'm still hitting drywall. I mean, still hitting wood. Obviously, you're going to hit drywall when drilling through a wall with drywall on it. So now we can pull this off, and we'll have our 4 pre-drilled holes for our lag bolts to sit in. And then I'm just going to go ahead and size this hole up a little bit. You're doing something like hanging a television that you want. No one should be, but in theory, you know, a kid should be able to hang off of this and it not do anything. This mount is rated for 300 pounds, and I'm sure the television and mount come nowhere close to that. I don't know if you know how much.
It'll be right at 200.
Okay, so we've got 100 pounds of play. So what I don't want to do is hollow out my pre-drills so much that the lags have nothing to grab. So if at the end of the day, I end up leaving this hole just a little small and the lag splits this wood up here, I'd rather that and have a solid anchor to the home than clean looking wood surface behind a mount you're never going to see. All right, guys, so we've measured everything out. We know our top, bottom viewing angle. We found our studs. We've pre-drilled with our paper template. And now I need Zach to hold this up for me.
Got this.
Yeah. So we've got our center mark there, which is going to land us right. Can you hold that side?
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and tack this first. This frame is pretty sturdy, so we're going to go ahead and tack our first hole so Zach's not supporting the full weight of this thing. All right, so that'll hold up that half for him now. We'll throw a bubble level up here for Zach to get that fine-tuned into place. And at this point, you could tack this side, right, guys? But to make sure we're going to end up level today, I'm going to switch down just a hair. Okay, up a little bit. Right there.
Because of the depth of your pilot hole, it's not really going to matter.
Yeah. All right, that's a little pro tip there. So as soon as I started digging, I was able to force it up. Go ahead and get our other 2 tacks in.
And see how the mount's still kind of loose, guys? That's why he's not fully tightening it, is then you can just ensure that you stay level.
Certainly sounds impressive. Sounds like we're changing tires on a race car.
This is my tire kit for my car. All right, we've checked, and again, guys, if you're off a couple degrees here, don't freak out. We went with Sanus. They're a great TV mount provider, and we've got these fine-tune adjustments to fix a couple degrees here or there.
See how, another little thing, guys, see whenever he's tightening down how you literally watch the wall be sandwiched?
Yeah.
If you don't see your sheetrock in most of your situations, or wood paneling or whatever it is actually compressing, you're not in that stud. If you don't hear that da-da-da-da kicking back, you're not in the stud.
And if it starts spinning free, don't pull it off. Try and put a drywall anchor in.
No.
Remeasure it, patch the drywall if it's visible, and find a stud to anchor this on. Last thing you need is the kid or the dog jumping up, drop kicking your TV, and the TV coming off the wall. Okay, so now that you saw me come back to this one that we already know is tightened, right? So what can happen is this bolt will say, hey dude, I'm pretty tight. But then as soon as this one tightens, now all of a sudden there's play over here because like Zach said, now this side of the wall sucked in, so it's not pushing back on this side. So we're coming around and I'm just going to half turn each one of these bolts again just to make sure this is here.
Okie dokie, let's throw her up. You okay?
Yeah.
Fear's real. I'm here to help.
All right, send her. Keep it coming. I'm on. You on?
Yep.
There you go. Good?
I just had to double check my side. And then that should click, right? You heard your side click?
Yeah, mine.
So the bottom doesn't pull, then we're clicked in. All right, and you can see we left the tilt at dead center, and now the TV's already pitching forward because of the weight.
Woo! Let's go! That's a big old boy right there.
Yeah,
Now Chase is just going to make our connections for our HDMI cable as well as our power.
Now, because we have this play, there's not much room here, the way Jiles has his speakers, but you theoretically could walk this a little right, the 6 inches of play, if you're having trouble reaching the connections on the back there.
All right, guys, so moving right along. Chase is crushing it. We finally got this puppy up on the wall. Right now, he's just making the connection to the power, the high voltage power on that side, peeling off the extra tape back there. We did have different connection options there on the rear of the TV. We just connected to the fastest HDMI port, which is HDMI port number 1. But keep in mind, there is an eARC port on this television. eARC, meaning Enhanced Audio Return Channel.
Yeah.
It's really important that you notate this if you're going to utilize the built-in smart features on the TV, because you cannot get Dolby Atmos out of a standard ARC port, or it's required that you have the connection made to the eARC if you want the potential for Dolby Atmos to be output through that HDMI connection back to your AVR and then play through the surround sound system. In this case, Jiles has Kaleidoscape, the ultimate movie player, so we don't have to worry about even using any of the built-in features on the television. We're just gonna be sending our picture through our Kaleidoscape to our Trenov AVR, which does all the processing for the room, and then we're going to be sending the signal from there to the television. So it's literally just acting as a display.
You guys ready?
Let's go.
Okay. All right, so our labors have almost come to their end. TV's on the wall. It looks like it's all in one piece. It's perfectly centered, perfectly leveled. Cables are perfectly hidden, perfect tilt. And now the grand reveal. And if everything works, then we get to pull the plastic off.
Woohoo! Oh,
It's all in one piece. Man, we're cooking with fire now.
we did it, boys.
We did it.
You.
The plastic off and show.
Yeah, let's take the plastic off.
Everybody, let's get in this thing. Okay, folks, so that is pretty much soup to nuts, everything you need to know to install not only this TV, but pretty much any TV. Now, installing a monster like this 98 isn't as easy as a 65, but it's really just scale, all of those nuts and bolts in there. But one thing I will say is that without the expertise of Dreamedia, I can tell you that I would not have had the result that we had today, because this is spectacular. I mean, this is absolutely wonderful. The spacing, the installation, the location, just everything that I wanted the TV to end up being when it was mounted is the way it ended up being. And that's going to translate into hours and hours and hours of wonderful viewing activity. So thank you so much,
Yeah,
Zach.
absolutely.
I mean, it's awesome.
I'm happy to hear it.
Yeah.
We had a really fun time out here shooting this video for you and getting the TV put up on the wall. It's very important whenever you're dealing with high-end electronics that you set them up properly. And it goes for things simple like a TV mount, no matter what the price point is. We want to ensure that the products are installed properly. Or if it comes to high-end gear like Trenovs and MadVRs, it's calibrated and configured properly.
Absolutely.
So here at Dreamedia, we pride ourselves on doing things right the first time, and it was an honor to be here today. Thank you, Josh.
So again, thanks to Dreamedia. Also thanks to TCL for helping out with the TV. Thanks to Sanus for the mount, which, as you saw in the video, was amazing. Those three pieces, TCL, Sanus, and Dreamedia, are the Dreamedia team. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you like the video, remember subscribe, ring the bell, do all those things. There'll be another one down in the corner. If you like this one, I'm sure you'll like that one. And with that, see you guys in the next video.